Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. Hi-Fi, can you mute as you're cocktailing over there? Thank you very much.
Sorry, I was mixing up an old-fashioned, and
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm just going to count myself back in. LOL. Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. I'm Heidi Kuda. I'm here with High Fidelity and Jim Stewartson. This is our weekly live stream recap of our latest episode, and we have some incredible clips from our interview with Michael D. Weiss, investigative reporter and author, and all around Russian espionage, buster. I mean, he just really busted some serious Russian spies and agents of influence along with some of his colleagues. And for those of you who haven't listened, please listen. He explains those stories at the top of the first about half hour, and then we get into some of the things that we deal with regularly on our show, disinformation and whatnot. But how you guys doing, man? Why don't you guys check in?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've geeked out as much as I've geeked out on Michael Weiss. Because he was going deep, man. He was giving us
fascinating stuff.
All the hardcore shit. I was particularly interested in his description of how the Russian intelligence services are set up.
Yeah.
It was fucking confusing. You got the SBR and the FSB and the GRU, and it all ties in very crazy ways. And I thought he did a masterful job of tying all that together. So, I'm looking forward to seeing clips.
Yeah. Also, his vocabulary is masterful. Like somebody who is that knowledgeable.
He's got all the words.
He does.
Yeah, that's not his problem's. Not having words, right? It's like, oh, which one can I pick? Which is the best word? But these peons can understand.
What was so great is just the effortless flow. And again, that has to do with somebody who has such a deep knowledge, profound knowledge of the subject matter. But it was also just really fun to listen to him. His choice of words is great. I've been using so many of them. The way he described how America is making it so easy for the Russians to be holding up a sign going over here as the lemmings are marching off the cliff. Go this way. I was like, oh, lemmings. That's a good one that I got to put back into the lexicon.
I was just looking at a paper that shout out to Marie if she's out there, reminded me about, which is something that Mike Weiss translated with his partner in 2020, which was like a biography of a Russian spy from autobiography from his point of view about his entire life.
Wow.
And a whole bunch of GRU documents about, okay, so if we're going to have psychological war against an enemy nation and it's peacetime, here are all the tactics. Yeah. Okay, well, if things start to heat up a little bit, here's what you do. And if we go to war, if it's actual, kinetic war, here's a different set of things. And they all ratchet up together, and they're all easily recognizable to anybody who's paying any attention out there.
Yeah, and that is, again, we know so much.
Translated it. That's the important. That's what I guess the point I was making is that that dude went to like some 40-year-old Russian intelligence documents and translated that shit. So
well, that's how he got on my radar, because Keir Giles gave us that brilliant 84-second explainer on what makes the most ardent Russian propagandist.
I know you and your explainer and high-five give it a go.
Keir
Giuliani and 9/11.
Keir got that from Michael's translation of KGB handbooks on what makes the, the great spy as an agent, or, what makes a great agent of influence. And it's the misfits, the losers, those who feel wronged. And I've got a theme that I'm brewing around in my head about unhappy Americans, because my friend was telling me that back in the 30s during the Great Depression.
I know a gathering of those happening right now, by the way.
my friend was
unhappy.
back in the unhappy Americans thought they might be more happy under the proletariat dictatorship in Soviet Union, and so they moved over there only to find out that their passports were then revoked and they could never come back, and they were essentially held captive. And I find that interesting because Tucker Carlson's going around saying how great things are, and honestly, Jim, I know we talked about that last week, but I feel like that is backfiring bigly, and I'd love to get your take on that, because it just seems so pathetic.
That's what we want to think. It's not what's happening, unfortunately. Right? I mean, look, yes, it's a fucking joke to normies. It is an absolute joke. Dude is there's a video going around that's got them all excited of Tucker Carlson in a Russian grocery store. He's literally like in Russian Safeway. And he's like, I got my crew here, and we all took a guess. How much is this big basket of groceries going to cost? And we all said like, about $400. And it was like 9,800 rubles. And we were like, whoa, that's like $100. And we were like, fuck, this place is awesome. And then he says, literally after, and I'm exaggerating a teeny bit, not much. He says, and that's why we need to get radicalized. Radicalized. And he used the word twice. Literally instructing his followers. Listen to me closely. I'm in a Russian grocery store making shit up because I don't understand how exchange rates work. It's this fucking restaurant, right? But I'm telling you, like all day long, I've been, dealing with these people for various reasons, and they fucking believe it. They believe that I'm calling them Putin pilled now, because while there was always a segment of them who weren't really hiding it, they didn't come out. Nobody came out. Nope, nobody. Now it's just like they're happy to tell you that they prefer Vladimir Putin over our president, and even more Russia over our country, because we are a woke, evil infestation of satanic Democrat communists that needs to be literally murdered. That's the fucking ideology that is predominant out there. And
I guess they don't realize,
I'm very tired. I spent a long time today, and forgive me, I'm going to rant for a second. So is that okay?
I anticipated it.
I spent a lot of the day today getting real pissed off about this whole Fani Willis thing. Yeah. Because not only have we not learned anything, it's like TV did learn something. Mainstream media did learn something. They said, hey, remember all that money we made, like making shit up about Hillary's emails? Okay, let's fucking do that all over again. Whatever those guys come up with, let's just cover it all fucking day. Briefly, Fani Willis had a normal, totally legal, totally within the rules relationship with somebody that she worked with. The woman was raised by a man who said, keep cash around and don't let any man pay for your shit. And if you saw her talk, she's not making a word up. That woman nobody is taking care of fucking Fani Willis. There's no quid pro, whatever the fuck you want to call it, whatsoever. Regardless, the feckless fucking judge, these morons in the press and on MSNBC and CNN all day. All day. NBC had no better programming the entire day from 7 o'clock until I just fucking turned it off, but cover the absolutely bizarre and absurd accusations against Fani Willis, the only person, magically, what a coincidence, the only person in the entire country who's actually doing their fucking job with respect to the justice system and these criminals.
I heard that.
It blows my fucking mind that people that I respect on TV that I have supported before being like, well, it was really kind of your fuck off. Stop it. Stop rationalizing this corporate greedy motherfuckers monetizing the humiliation and degradation of a woman who is courageous as fuck and deserves nothing but our applause and cheerleading.
Yeah,
she has done not a fucking thing wrong, and I'm ashamed of anybody out there who can't see through the most basic, simple, misogynistic psyop there is. Oh my God, she had sex with the guy. Let's go just talk about it a lot.
So
there was nothing to it, and I'm sorry, Heidi, I'm keep stepping on you, but I'm landing.
No, it's all right.
It's very upsetting to me. I don't like watching misogyny and racism in the guise of the judicial system, because that's all it was. Every question was designed to poke some sexual button. It was supposed to poke some racist or misogynistic grievance in some asshole somewhere. And they let a series of these MAGA assholes do it for hours in the courtroom while everybody in the country watched. And then these asshats get on from these cable network shows and say, maybe it's a good idea if she just steps down. Maybe it's a good idea if Ukraine just lets fucking Russia keep 20%. Maybe she was asking for it. Maybe she was wearing something she shouldn't have been. It's fucking despicable. And I am landing my plane now because otherwise I will have an
Let me just say a couple things. High five before you jump
Absolutely.
in. Clip. All I want to
Please
say is one of the reasons I think people watch RadPod is that we are aware on this show that Fani didn't try to overthrow the government. She didn't try to stage a coup, lie about an election, none of that. So we are rooted in reality on this show and understand that these are all false equivalencies. What they are designed to do is exhaust people with garbage politics, which is exhausting. And as Ruth Ben-Ghiat said, it's designed to clog up the sewer of government, the ability for government to do its jobs. And I think we're seeing that. But I also think that, if she wasn't already a star in most people's minds who are rooted in reality, she sure as shit is now. She's amazing, and she held it down, is my opinion. And high five.
I agree with that. I mean, do not get me wrong, and thank God, right?
Yeah.
Because here's
she's formidable.
Here's what I wrote. I wrote this is gonna end up like Benghazi, right?
Well, that's the design too.
The goal was to humiliate Hillary Clinton for 11 hours in front of the fucking house, and all she did was absolutely destroy them by answering truthfully. That's all she had to do, with a little bit of edge.
A little bit.
And Fani had maybe more than a little bit. A little bit of a crush, cannot deny it.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah.
My turn.
Fani, man. Like I thought
Jim, you're stepping on me, motherfucker. Let me go.
All right, high
Let me go.
fidelity. All right.
I have a point to make.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And I think the important thing about the Fani Willis trial is that Donald Trump has been adjudicated a rapist. He's about to lose his business in New York tomorrow in $300-some million. And he's a fucking criminal who like held on to national secrets in his bathroom. That's the important thing about the Fani Willis trial. But I also think Fani Willis says it herself the best when she said this.
Your office objected to us getting to records for flights that you may have taken with Mr. Reid.
Well, no, look. I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
Snap.
Right.
Yeah.
Hannah Arendt said the benefit that the authoritarians of the 20s and 30s had was that they were always able to turn a statement of fact into a question of motivation. That is exactly what we are seeing here.
Word. Yeah. Yeah. Great clip. Thank you for showing that. Yes, I just feel like they keep on rehashing the same playbooks. And Jim, maybe I smoke too much hopium, but I feel like, come on now, we've seen this before. It sucked before, and I'll tell you, the attention span in America on all these negative ops is getting shorter and shorter, which is why they keep on changing the target. They keep burning a different witch every single day. It's like, oh, it's fading out over here in Texas. We're going to go over here. They got them all queued up, and shame on us if we fall for it again. Yes, high five.
You know how you said you had a friend who got caught up in the Hunter Biden stuff?
Yes.
The FBI is indicted the informant
I saw
who
that.
lied about all that stuff. So that's kind of important. Maybe people want to know about that, right?
Well, this goes back to more on the Jim Stewartson side of the internet, as somebody once said. It's like, you would think that would have an impact on those on Hunter Biden watch. More than likely, they won't ever see that headline, unfortunately.
No, they won't give a shit. And now that Catherine Herridge, their Hunter Biden correspondent, Catherine Herridge has been fired from CBS News, it might be difficult over in the Hunter cult.
Well,
there's people who literally spend all day long just doing Hunter shit,
But can I tell you something? I think the reason that they so readily moved the target off of Hunter and then over to Taylor Swift is because when Hunter showed up, in DC and is like, yo, I'm real, go ahead and interview me. I really do think that may have called their bluff, along obviously with finding out the whole thing was a put on. So, but I thought that was an important move. He should have showed up years ago.
Speaking of put-ons, can we go back to Tucker Carlson for a second? Because while we were talking, just for a second, because it only takes like 2 seconds. Here's two things I looked up real fast while y'all were talking. The average American, their food budget is 11.3% of their overall budget in America. And then in Russia, if you look at this, it's 32.9%. So I think maybe if you put things in perspective for people, I don't know.
So right, so it's maybe the food's only $100, but you make like $250.
Oh, somebody already posted that was 70% of their budget. So it's like, that was a, hey, but again, we're talking about facts and truth in a era where truth is something that's irrelevant to a number of people.
And I wrote about this, and I think it's an important observation, because I think it's and it'll prove out one way or the other, but so far so good. There's a concept in warfare called the fifth column, The fifth column is any group of people inside of a nation that is controlled by a foreign or external power. Doesn't have to be another nation, but usually is. And it's there to sabotage and do damage to the nation that it's in. You know, it's basically a sort of cancer on the inside of a country that grows and pulls people in. It's already sounding familiar, probably. Fifth columns generally start out as clandestine. You don't want people to know that you're working on behalf of a foreign power, even if that foreign power hasn't been officially declared an enemy, which is the situation we're in right now. But you're working for them, and you know what you do benefits them, but you're not advertising. Well, at a certain point, assuming that your actual goal really is to destroy the country that you're in, at some point you're going to need to advertise it. You're going to need to just say, "Hey, I'm done just sabotaging in secret. I'm just going to start doing it out in the open." And what I see the absolutely unmistakable signs of across the board is that this thing is going from clandestine to overt. We've got Tuckums over there in Russian grocery stores telling everybody how amazing Russian Safeway is, and how, again, this is important, you should be radicalized by that fact. Just fucking saying the word out loud, like, okay, here's what you gotta do. You gotta get radicalized about this whole Russia thing. Like, how fucking blatant can it be, right? And if you follow me on the Zitters, you've seen that Mike Flynn has just gone balls out, wearing Putin's nuts around his chin.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just absolutely revolting.
Yeah.
Like, he's so intelligent and smart and powerful, and he has a grasp of history like Joe Biden could never have. The fucking hood is just falling off of him as he says this shit. It's incredible. And what I'm seeing now I'm almost done, is in the digital soldiers, and I interact with a lot of them. Some of them I have a weird half sort of friendship with, where we agree on a few things, but mostly they're not. And they a lot of that whole group was like, yeah, I like Putin. Putin's awesome. He said America's too woke. I agree with that. What's wrong with that? He says it's good versus evil. He likes Jesus. Like, I mean, you just get these guys to lie to your face about a certain thing. Don't allow any other information in about that thing and what is going to happen. They're going to follow the information that they're given. And all of the information, and I'm landing my plane here, that they have been given is that Putin and Russia are awesome, or at least they're not our enemy whatsoever. They might even be a white hat, quote unquote, which is what it used to be when it was clandestine. It was like, maybe Putin's a white hat. Now it's just like, find an old pedo. I want lad. Just like that. So I think
scary at the same time.
There's a couple of ramifications, which are, mainly that you're going to start seeing a lot of these people making these decisions, and and having to fall, off one side of the turnip truck or the other, if that's it. So anyway, that is my rant.
Well done, and so true, and yes, high fidelity. And we have some clips from Michael that talks about some of this stuff.
I just want to remind everyone of what was adjudicated in Sarasota County Court. We are allowed to now say Mike Flynn helped plan and execute January 6th. Mike Flynn is a literal traitor, is a Russian asset, is running QAnon, works for Putin, is a terrorist, committed treason, uses ISIS techniques, stole the 2016 election, tried to overthrow the U.S. Yeah, so that has been adjudicated. Okay, things to say.
You're free to say those things legally as much as you want. My favorite game is to combine them in different ways. I've said this before, like you put like on the refrigerator, just combine them. He's a traitor. He started QAnon, helped plan and execute J6 because he works for Putin. It's fun.
Does he still have his trained SEALs who deny all that for him now that it's been adjudicated? Or
oh yes, I caught one doing it just what was it, yesterday? Yeah, they're still at it.
Saying what? That you can't what?
Well, no, there's been an entire army of people denying
he wasn't a psyop and
denying all of that. I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, all the way up to the top of the controlled opposition, still saying that shit.
Wow. Well, I guess they're dedicated. It's
not Mike Flynn. It's not a psyop because I've been saying it for 6 fucking years and I have no choice but to keep going. Sorry, you guys are fucking wrong.
So,
I'm back. Go ahead.
No, I would like to see some Michael Weiss clips because some of what we are discussing, he lays out with his beautiful vocabulary.
Indeed.
Better than
on the other side of the ledger, because a lot of people were declaring victory after the Mueller report, which, by the way, was pretty light on counterintelligence. Remember that the two missions were conspiracy and obstruction of justice. The Senate Subcommittee on Intelligence reports, with 5 volumes, much more substantive, much more in-depth, and much more interesting. But I'll say this. I mentioned Venona. What the U.S. government or the intelligence community knew about Soviet agents in the State Department, the Treasury Department, or low-level bureaucracies in real time, but could not prove publicly, because to bring these people to book would out the existence of the Venona project, which was so sensitive and so high value that they would rather let Soviet spies get away with being Soviet spies than compromise their intelligence collecting mechanism.
Wow.
Nothing has changed. Mm-hmm. There's a reason a lot of people end up getting indicted for lying to the FBI, which is a low order offense. It's an offense, to be sure, but it's a low order offense compared to other things the FBI might have on those people.
I was literally giving myself some sort of neck spasm by nodding so hard.
Me too.
Yeah. Because if I would like to remind our dear audience, because it is my way, that Mike Flynn pled guilty twice to lying to the FBI about talking to the Russian government, which, as Michael quite aptly described, is a way for the intelligence services and law enforcement to not tell you exactly what this guy has actually done, right? Which is okay. If you got to do it that way, fine. But what you shouldn't do is take that bullshit charge and then go drop it a couple of years later because Sidney Powell, QAnon lawyer, fucking told you to.
Well, I just want to say one of my favorite lines from Michael in that hour interview is "Nothing new under the sun." I've been saying that too, because there's an example, 100 years of example of this stuff. We have such a rich history to draw on, and what we are experiencing right now feels really new under the sun, but it's not. And we have historical, precedents for this, so we know where to look. And what a great.
Let me give you one quick precedent for this briefly, because people forget this sometimes. I think it's important. a great deal of this can be traced back to a Russian intelligence operation in 1903. In 1903, that is when the Okhrana, the Russian imperialist intelligence services, put out the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Protocols of the Elders of Zion went on to become probably the deadliest document in the history of mankind. It was repurposed and reshared and remixed all throughout Nazi Germany. Henry Ford, that era's Elon Musk, published it in the Dearborn Independent under the title the internet, the International Jew something problem. And Hitler, while he was in prison for doing the beer hall putsch, which he only got a year for, wrote Mein Kampf and said, hey, I like this Henry Ford, and that protocols that he put in there, that's the real stuff right there. And from that point forward, used it extensively in, so it is arguable that Henry Ford, that there, don't know, there was some wagging of the dog, as it were, on both sides of the Atlantic there about the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to understand that no, actually, Russian propaganda has been around for a long time, and it can kill people in very, very large numbers if it is not understood and contained and extinguished, like the cancer that it is.
Thank you. And that goes back to nothing new under the sun, because that's being repurposed right now.
Well, that was the whole.
Yeah.
I was just
exactly
a long way of backing you up.
Yeah, got you. No, that's horrible, but important to know and to reiterate.
Last thing on that point, just briefly, some of the main points of this dumb, horrible propaganda were that Jews drink blood, that they want to kidnap and eat your children, that basically they want to do all the same things that satanic Democrats want to do in Pizzagate.
Yeah.
All the same stuff, using the same legends, the same fears, the same phobias about a small group of elites, a deep state cabal of elites. Sound familiar? A bunch of globalists, right? What are we doing? We're doing the same thing all over again, and we're not paying any fucking attention because we're too busy gamer-gating Fani fucking Willis on television all day. And by the way, that's what that was. That's what that was. That was a degradation, humiliation, misogynistic, racist ritual that of the sort that goes on all the time, and was sort of, not born in Gamergate, but certainly was perfected in many ways.
Oh yeah, informed by it. Yeah, absolutely. High Fidelity. I want to see more Michael Weiss. I want to talk about more Michael.
Oops. What was the last one we watched? I forgot already.
We watched the one about limited hangout, FBI doing a lesser charge for a bigger crime.
Guess what? I froze up.
Awkward silence.
Awkward silence.
Get your kid off the interwebs.
That's not gonna happen.
Is your son jamming?
Let's see if I can even share a screen, because I got something that's been bugging me. Yeah, I can share a screen.
Okay.
And it's tangentially related. I was thinking a lot about
tangentially related. Is that what you said?
Tangentially, blah blah blah. Sorry.
Tangentially.
Hey, guess what? I'm high. Anyway.
Tangentially is pretty good, actually.
It's all right. It's all right.
Well, it all fucking sucks. Anyway.
If you tan your balls, that's tangentially, right?
Fair enough. But I was thinking about this Project Birmingham because a lot of things just happened recently.
Oh Lord, high five, man! This is
we're not going deep down it, but what I want to point out is that there was a company behind this that was paid to spread.
There's new knowledge, and it was Peter Thiel and Jeff Katea,
all right.
It's a fucking disaster. Yes, I know.
And then there was Joel Zemel's Psi Group, right?
Yeah.
There was that one.
Yeah.
That was another. And then there was Sergey Grishin. This guy had 421 Media, which was basically the same thing. It was a bunch of people doing stuff online, right? But there's more to it than that because, Michael Weiss told us, look, the Seth Rich thing was an SVR, started conspiracy.
Yeah.
Except what I remember was, there were things about the Seth Rich conspiracy. There were American companies here in America that were spreading.
I know
lies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just destroyed his parents. Right.
Yeah.
His parents sued. We know that DeSantis is using operatives to run operations against Americans and interfere with elections and whatnot. And then just recently, Meta unmasked fake journalists and people and just all sorts of operative accounts running against different people around the world coming out of Italy from a private intelligence company.
Yeah.
And then what I think is probably the most disturbing, and Ron Wyden, a Democrat out in Oregon, brought this to my attention. A company geofenced the parking lots of reproductive clinics, women's rights clinics, Planned Parenthood, that kind of thing. And any woman who showed up in those parking lots got advertisements on their phones and whatnot that were, the pro-life, anti-women movement. And there were also apparently campaigns from this company out of India that is now dissolved, where they were actually, they found the women and harassed them on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. So Hi-Fi, I've got one question for you. Why
this is just kind of mind-blowing.
It matter? Why does it matter? High Fidelity. Tell us why you wanted to bring all that to our attention. What's the high concept takeaway?
The high concept takeaway is, Russia is running ops against Americans, but it's not, Bora and Natasha behind the curtain. It's coordinated information warfare, a lot of it running through a very specific network, running through Silicon Valley.
Yeah. It's grim
I don't
stuff.
know why it's difficult for people to see that. That's all.
Thank you for that. Our information is sold up 900 times a day. Go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, some of the people who don't understand that there is actually coordinated, propaganda, stalking, trolling, whatever you want to call it, are people who are doing it.
Right? Yeah, that's the other high concept takeaway.
To say, oh, Bruno, shut up!
That doesn't exist.
You're fucking crazy. Psychological operations. Bruno. These asshats listening to us right now. That is what we're talking about, right?
Wow.
Foreign backed information warfare, and it can be on the scale of a bunch of fucking weirdos, talking about a little podcast, or it can be, Fani Willis, or it can be, Hillary Clinton in 2016. It's all the same shit. It's the weaponization and the use of humiliation, degradation, sadism as a political tool, right?
Yeah.
I say political only in the sense of it is generally to create an artificial political result by inflicting harm on people, right?
Yeah.
We don't like the political result that's going to happen if this person keeps doing what they're doing. We don't like that, so we're going to make sure this person doesn't get to do it anymore, right? And that can be, you know, how do they find things to do that? Well, this was just some random thing, if people don't know, from an indicted fucking criminal, Mike Roman. The reason why Fani Willis was up there because a MAGA lawyer named Mike Roman, an absolute despicable chud with apparently like 8 illegitimate kids of his own, did some FOIAs and stuff, and they found some shit and just manufactured this entire thing out of whole cloth by a political opponent. And the only thing that we can pay attention to is, oh my God, what did she pay him back for rent? Right? Like, oh, she says she had cash. Why'd she have all that cash around? Because her fucking dad taught her that that was a prudent thing to do, and he was fucking right.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just going to tie everything we're seeing right now to everything we just saw right then. There is, in fact, Virginia, controlled psychological operations that are targeted at individuals. You know, that happens, again, at all sorts of scales, all the way down to our little tiny scale, up to far bigger ones.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to keeping them busy. High Fidelity,
I've been keeping them busy with all my voices.
Yeah.
Nope, my video is still not working for some reason. I may have to pull a stunt later. If it crashes, the stream will start a new one real fast. But speaking of,
we're not going to start a new stream.
Well, I can't share video. It's not playing, and I don't know why.
Go get your.
And it won't even let me up.
That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. Okay, we got 18 minutes to kill. I think we can do it.
Well, I got something I got to bring up that's been bugging me, because we watched some of the operations occur around this, and the logical outcome of Johnny Depp hanging out with Crown Prince Bonesaw is just it's
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp's a piece of shit. I'm sorry, but if anybody was paying any attention during that fucking trial, man, that was talk about in the same categories what we're seeing with Fani, what we saw with Hillary, what we see with these sort of misogynist, you know, movements that are absolutely intentionally amplified by private intelligence companies as well as foreign intelligence companies.
Yeah.
Those two categories of things exist. There are foreign intelligence services that are fucking out there for real, helping to coordinate this shit, and in some cases actually doing it. And there are private intelligence services inside the United States that do it here. There just fucking are. We can name them, you know, all that. But it's a real thing that people need to get. One of those, high five, be ready. One of those intelligence, private intelligence services company called Palantir, absolute piece of high five. You fucking
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
I pre-warned you.
I was provoking. Nope, I was provoking the reaction.
That's okay. I
knew it would. Yeah.
So I knew Johnny back in the day, and he was a total sweetheart. And I can imagine that he must have gotten in some kind of trouble, which has resulted in this horrible situation.
Well, he's like best friends with Elon Musk.
Oh, there's some. I think there's some mice rattling around. I just, it's sad. And the other one,
they both hate the lady from, oh shit, what was that movie she was in, underwater? The underwater movie. God damn it.
Oh,
that Amber Heard played in.
Aquaman.
Thank you, Aquaman.
Jason
Aquaman's girlfriend.
But in light of Valentine's Day, I am really excited for Tom Cruise because he has allegedly, according to reports, a new girlfriend whose father is a politician in Russia who's close to Vladimir Putin and whose ex owned a diamond mine, another Russian oligarch. So I do hope it's true love. I'm just waiting for. I'm just waiting for him. 36. He's 61. I'm waiting for him to host a Twitter Spaces about Russia so nice.
I mean, it's really amazing, though, right? Like this sort of fucking weird segment of society that's been drifting off into these fucking directions for a long time. It really turns out a lot of the time it kind of pulls back around to this Russian shit, right? Like, why the fuck is he now all of a sudden nagging with this Russian girl? And I mean, by the way, Scientology is a corrupt shit show. I cannot imagine that they don't have all kinds of foreign entanglements. I know that they have, a lot of their people certainly be running Russian ops. For example, what's her fucking
Dundas. I feel like Dundas was just in Moscow too, but wasn't she just in Moscow as well? Like, I mean, there's something weird.
Well, she was at J6, like having
I know that.
having a stroke. I don't know if anybody saw her before J6 with her microphone in front of the camera, like, I'm killing her, kill all the. And he was just like, whoa. And she's the one who at the last Mike Flynn telethon or whatever was giving away AR-15s with Mike Flynn and her signature. Because that's what you want. You want Scientology lawyer Lee Dundas and Mike fucking Flynn to sign your AR.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say other than I just, again, I go back to just, are we really going to believe the reruns? Are people not tired of this? Do they not?
I have something to say.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they should be tired of this. But has anybody found Shelly Miscavige yet? Or is she still missing? Do we know?
Pretty sure where's Shelly has not been discovered yet.
Wow.
That's a weird thing. If just to
why don't you fill our viewers in on what you're talking about?
Unpack it for the people. David Miscavige has or had or we don't know a wife who fucking disappeared after a row of some sort. There was a row, and then poof, Shelly Miscavige disappeared from the planet Earth, and nobody has found her. But David assures us she's doing just fine.
Okay.
David is the guy that traipses around with the aforementioned Tom Cruise, now betrothed or something to a Russian Putin scion.
Oh God.
Anywho, he and
You're
David,
making my head hurt.
he and David Miscavige are like really best friends. I don't know if anybody saw, but in their infinite wisdom, CBS News. Let's see, CBS they both fired Catherine Herridge, which is good. and they put a Scientology commercial on the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's messed up.
I mean, let's forget about like making some shit like that, which is designed to destroy lives, illegal in the first place. What's the corporate decision making there? Like, really, you didn't have anybody else who wanted to pay for that ad space on the entire planet, other than a company whose leader literally has, and we joke, but literally has a wife that went missing, and nobody has fucking seen her, who took over a company that a cult, a religion that was created as a joke by a Satanist in the 50s. Literally. And this little asshat, David Miscavige, took it over and ballooned it into this ridiculous monstrosity that, takes, gullible dumbasses like Tom Cruise, pulls them off the street, sucks all of the money out of them, and turns them into fucking androids.
Mm.
Have you seen Tom Cruise recently? He's just.
I met him too back in the day, and he was another person, total sweetheart. So sad about it.
I'm sure at one time he was great when he was jumping up and down on the couch because
this was before that. This was before that when he was with Nicole.
Okay.
Yeah, he was sweet. Yeah, so
he was adorable.
Yeah, no, it's
but now
they're going the direction of Steven Seagal.
Organization that all it does is try to trap as many people as possible into financial, emotional, and psychological servitude for the rest of their lives by making up, and this is important for people who don't happen to understand this, by making up a story about Xenu, 100 billion year old entity who got mad and thrown into a volcano. I might have the details wrong, and a bunch of little mad spirits came out, and those bad spirits are what infect me and you, but they have the solution, and they can find it out by putting this little e-meter on you that means absolutely nothing and has no reality in the real world at all, except the guy behind there has control on it. But they use that to mind fuck you into thinking that they have some magical power that you don't have, because you are desperate for some solution to your problems. Please, dear God, do not go near that fucking organization. And anyone who it takes their money, for fuck's sake, fuck you forever. Even if you did fire Catherine Herridge, which was a really good thing to do.
Hold on, Hi-Fi. I just want to say one thing. For an atheist, Jim Stewartson knows more about the intricacies of various organized religions and shit shows and cults than anybody I've ever met. Well, maybe Hi-Fi too. But I think it's really cool.
I mean, I don't know, probably got a master's level.
You do.
In comparative religion. And the only reason is because
it's abused.
You have to.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is, flows from the same place.
Yeah.
And then the problem is that you use what's a kind of a natural function of the human race to want to, understand things, and if you can't, to at least have some comfort, right? To take that desire, turn it into some magical thinking about some entity that only somebody, and this is really important, only somebody else has access to this super magical deity. You do not, but you have access to that person, and so you get to talk to them. That is the beginning of a similar thing to what we're seeing out there now. It is broader and more institutionalized and doesn't generally make you go and try and murder people in the Capitol building, but it does leave people who want to exploit that idea, it leaves them a place to do that. And so I, as a person who wants all of this hell to stop.
Me too. One more thing for me, Hi-Fi. I've been talking a lot with Ann Nelson, and as you guys know, her book Shadow Network informed the documentary Bad Faith. She's amazing. And one of the things that is becoming increasingly clear to me is this decades-long plot to take apolitical, largely non-voting, non-politically interested block of people, namely evangelicals, who were not against abortion and were not even really interested in far-right anything, and weaponize them as a group that actually is a weapon against democracy. And how they did it was lying to them largely about Democrats being baby killers, which is not true, lying to them about babies being killed at birth, which is not true. And I often think that if there is somebody who understands this, some person who still is a person of faith, and there are leaders out there trying to get this word out, and they're defying the false prophets like Flynn and Trump and Stone. But I feel like if they would just know how cynically they were lied to, and how their minds and their empathy and their hearts were manipulated, that we could somehow get them back and get them to understand that those lies had turned them into extremists, which was never who they were at their core. And I just wish we could somehow reach them. That would be amazing.
I'll say it again. I don't think we have to reach them. I think that for the most part, the people that we need to reach are all in there. They're in there just fine. They've been in there for however long, and the longer you're in there, the harder it is. But all the people who have been affected in this way are still in there.
Yeah.
The thing that needs to happen is that they need to find a realization on their own.
Yeah.
And you can't do that when all the information that they have is insulated through the same control mechanism. It's just impossible, which is why for me, the goals are very simple. Go at the command and control of the operation that is preventing people from making their own fucking decisions.
Yeah.
Right? There's, in my view, a well-organized psychological warfare campaign that is taking people's choices away from them.
Yeah.
And I think if we can expose and prevent people who are doing that by either getting the fucking media or the military or the justice system to do something about these people, I think we can make a difference. And I don't think it's impossible to do that. I see a lot of people out there like, wait a minute, did I just wait? Like a lot of people who just didn't understand how crazy this is and how bad it's gotten and how overt this fifth column is becoming. People, once they do sort of get it, sometimes it takes the right example, sometimes it takes the right explanation. They aren't unhappy that this is being allowed to happen. And
you keep doing your incredible work, Jim, and Hi-Fi, and I just want to say, okay, no, you're right.
My turn. Because we're talking about things that should be completely and utterly fucking obvious by now. And this guy right here, how he is not obviously in Putin's pocket. There are apparently established rumors coming out of Ukraine that Starlink is being used by the Russian army. He openly along with members of the PayPal mafia, pushes Russian propaganda, great replacement theory, white supremacist memes, and yet he is still one of the largest government contractors in the United States currently, along with, of course.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
And earlier with Project Birmingham, that was funded by Reid Hoffman, also a PayPal. We have a Silicon Valley problem.
Yes, we do.
When are we going to pay attention to it?
We are the ones we've been waiting for. We're going to have to be applying the pressure. No one's going to do it for us. Thank you for that. I just want to go back to something Jim was saying, because when I transcribed our interview with Rich Logis of Leaving MAGA, that was the most read thing I've done on my Substack in the entire time I've had my Substack for a year. Thousands and thousands of people read it. A ton of new subscribers joined. And I called it, I can't believe how wrong I was, redemption of an ex-MAGA. And what that tells me is that there are a lot of truth-curious people out there. There are people quietly leaving MAGA. And I think it would be amazing if, instead of having hours and hours and hours streaming garbage politics designed to fuck up people's minds and understanding of reality, if there was more of an effort to show that people are snapping back to reality, that would actually be a lot more useful. And I hope to see more of that in the future. Yes, Jim.
I mean, from personal experience, I can tell you that if you want to get a reaction from these people, put that in front of them. Put somebody who has come back, or is trying to change or do the right thing, or somebody who's sort of transitioning, or they're thinking from, one side to another. They go after those people harder than anyone.
Oh yeah.
They've gone after people that I know and care about, who've been in this situation, because it is the last thing that they want, because they know that's the actual solution. The actual solution is again not some deprogramming plan that all the liberals need to put together and re-educate the population. It's not any of that shit. It's just stopping poisoning people. Just stop poisoning them with fucking bullshit. That's all. I know it's more complicated than that. We need free speech, and yes, but we are doing absolutely nothing to prevent people from, having their brains damaged by psychological warfare.
One other thing that Anne said that was really important is that because there's tens of thousands of churches, as we learned from Brent Allpress, who are getting all the same talking points funneled through the various CNP-linked organizations, and so many people use these churches and their communities for all of their services, from childcare to grief counseling to whatever. That is where we have to engage people and let them know that there are additional, Rich got out of MAGA because he poked his head up when Ron DeSantis was not protecting children from COVID and they were dying in Florida. And he actually got his head out, diversified his news intake, and realized that January 6th had military militias, and they were backed by what he said was the most powerful person in the world, Donald Trump. And that's when he was like, that was the bridge too far.
Well, there was first of all, he had a bridge, right? The bridge was too fucking far, right? He had a line to draw, and he had a reason. He had a motivation, right? Which was his kid. He was like, "You gonna put my kid at risk for this bullshit, Ron? Is that really?" It was like that dad thing. It was like,
yeah.
It was like that. that that it took to kind of snap him into just enough of an orientation to see a different direction, right? To see a different route that he could think about the world. And he happened to have the personal strength to go ahead and do it on its own, which is really, really hard. Some courageous fucking shit. And he had to do that and fight through all of his friends, everybody that he switched out and thrown away because of his beliefs to that point. He did it the fucking hard way. We don't have to make it that hard on people. We really don't. And the first thing that we can do to stop making it so fucking hard on people is put the professionals, put the people who are doing this specifically with the purpose and with the skill set to hurt people, to damage them, to change their mind against their will. And I'm sorry to always harp on it, is the one thing that I think we can actually make a change to, which can make a difference.
That was great. High five.
I just think that's a lot of words to say. Arrest Mike Flynn.
Is that our show?
That's our show.
That was it. What you?